Chapter 40, Strength and Honor by Wim Hof. Minnelli, a talented film director and a good friend of mine, is making a documentary that relates to this book and helps illustrate the point that we can all reach and influence the immune system. This finding could have huge repercussions in the world and shift the perception of the general population. As I continually show people the health benefits of gradually training in the cold, I hope it leads to a total prevention of diseases. A few days ago, from the time of writing this chapter, I visited Minnelli and brought some DVDs of my former documentaries over to him. While he reviewed the DVDs, one particular clip caught my attention. The Superhumans and the Quest of the Fantastic Four is a series that claims that I'm a superhuman. This is the video footage that shows me running a half marathon barefoot in the snow. Specifically, this is the run that resulted in frostbite. I can't say that my decision to keep running was only based off of intuition. I had let my emotions get the best of me. I had a situation at home that had left me emotionally distraught. I wasn't thinking properly, and sadly, I let it affect my decision. I took the challenge offered by the Discovery Channel because it was a quick way to escape from the emotional stress at home. Normally, I don't make rash decisions like that because I know the limits of my body extremely well, but this time, I decided to press on, despite the imminent damage and signals that my body was sending me. I was really determined to finish the race, but after pressing on, that's when the medic forced me to stop. She had told me that I was at risk of losing my toes. She also mentioned that it'd be foolish if I continued, but it was my decision. As you know, I ignored her. I desperately wanted to cross that finish line. So I pressed on, regardless of the potential consequences. I know it may sound ridiculous, but I think it was what I was supposed to do. It taught me something about myself that I would have never learned otherwise. No matter what anyone tells you, you can do anything. Nothing is impossible. The doctors told me that I had done irreversible damage to my foot and that I'd never be the same again. Well, they were wrong. I'm still doing my challenges. I'm still breaking world records, and I'm still telling you that I'm capable of doing anything because so are you. There is nothing superhuman about me. I'm just a man that loves fulfilling human potential. It can take strength and courage to heal oneself when facing a grim future, but we're all capable of confronting fears and pushing through them. Find that power inside of you and heal your dilemma. There was a time 20 years ago when I was suffering from a severe case of pneumonia. At the time, I was raising 4 children on my own, and my wife had just passed away. I was extremely emotional, and we didn't have much money. My body could take a lot, but when I became emotionally drained, I was susceptible to diseases. Somehow, I had developed pneumonia in the midst of the summer. After days of feeling a strange pressure in my chest, I had suddenly lost my energy and collapsed against a tree. At that moment, I decided to go see a doctor. He told me that I was suffering from a severe case of pneumonia and prescribed an antibiotic. He told me that I should be healed in about a month. I took 1 capsule and immediately felt better. Once I got that feeling, I just wanted to take over the healing process. So that 1 capsule was the last one that I ever took. I grabbed a hold of the wheel and visualized myself getting better. And before I knew it, the pneumonia had left as fast as it had come. I'm not suggesting that you ignore what your doctors or physicians tell you. What I am saying is that we all have an inner doctor that guides us as well. There's one last story that I would like to share with you about healing. A few years ago, I severely tore my large and small intestines. I could have died from this, but it wasn't my time. The ambulance transported me to the hospital and cut open my abdomen. They worked for hours trying to repair the damage. After making a temporary bypass, they patched me up and closed the wound. The doctors told me that my extreme sports career was over, that it would take me at least 1.5 years to recover. That night, they escorted me to my room in the hospital and left me there. When the light was turned off and my door was shut, I began to do a physical examination of my own. I had a gigantic scar on my abdomen where they had made the incision. I sat there for a while, just staring at the wall. Eventually, I made the decision to get out of bed and walk around. It was an enormous task. My body was in really bad shape, but I was extremely determined. Centimeter by centimeter, I moved myself from laying down to placing my feet over the side of the hospital bed. It felt like hours to get here. Finally, the soles of my feet touched the ground. I lifted myself off of the bed, and there I was, standing. I was standing. I checked myself out, observing my condition like a wounded animal. After a bit, I stopped caring about my wound and took interest in my surroundings. I gazed out the window and saw the stars in the night sky. Even though it had taken a lot of my effort to move even centimeters, I was able to achieve my goal. Getting out of bed was my first step in starting up my healing process again. I had won my first battle. Exhausted, I turned back to the bed and slowly laid myself down. Eventually, I fell into a deep sleep. Every day from that point on, I continued with the same determination. I couldn't eat for 2 weeks because my intestines didn't work, but I kept pushing. Finally, my intestines were able to process food. Another victory. 3 months from the time of my injury, I was performing in the ice again. I was able to perform at ease and my body was in great shape. I didn't have to wait the year and a half that the doctors had suggested. My inner doctor had performed miracles. Doing something like that takes a lot of courage, strength, and responsibility. You have to trust that there is a lot to gain and that quick healing is possible. It is at that point where the inner doctor will greet you. 2 months after that, I set a new world record for standing in a box where my body was completely immersed in ice. And 2 months after that, I climbed Kilimanjaro while only wearing shorts. That's when I returned to Lapland, the place that had given me irreparable damage. This time, I ran twice as far and completed a full marathon with no damage to my foot whatsoever. Despite my injuries and setbacks, I've still managed to press on and take on more challenges. The body adapts if you're willing to test it. My intestines healed 6 times faster than the time that the doctors told me that it would take. It is possible for you to do the same. Trusting that you are capable will make a lot of difference. But believing in yourself and knowing that it is possible will make all of the difference. Strength and honor isn't only achieved through sports and challenges. Fighting for life itself makes you a hero. A gladiator doesn't need a sword if his mind is as sharp as a razor blade. Cut through the desperation and dependence and focus on the everlasting possibilities.